All right, we are back with another episode of Second Opinion. I'm Alex from the Deck Doctors team, and today we're going to keep it really tactical. We're going to jump into a pitch deck that was submitted to our team and run through the good, the bad, the ugly, and ways to make it better. As you may have seen in my last video, AI is changing the rules on early stage pitching. There are different bars to meet and different expectations that investors are telling us are important as they're looking at companies in this post-AI world. And so we're going to bring some of that perspective to the review. Hopefully this provides a helpful lens as you develop your own pitch decks for early stage VCs. Let's dive in. All right, today we're looking at a company called Roadmap. They look to build confidence, beat social anxiety, and have fun in the process. They kick off with a big problem. 1 billion people are losing opportunities due to social anxiety, and they have some good stats to support it. I think we can all get behind that. They bring in that founder-led story, somebody who has struggled with social anxiety themselves and realized a few things around how their past wins can fuel confidence, and then look to develop a real-life game based on that experience to beat social anxiety. There's some good screenshots of what looks to be a fun and informative game. They walk through the game in a true solution slide. Social anxiety is a $13 billion opportunity. It looks like a bottoms-up market sizing was done here. Other solutions, competitors offer instant gratification or personal encouragement, and they do both. So they're combining the good from what looks like social media, calm/headspace, and also just facing it, unless that's a thing, and then actual personalized therapy. So this is an interesting positioning. We can come back to this in a little. They've got some good traction. They've built a waiting list. They have an MVP, and they're refining some components of their product. They have a go-to-market strategy that involves getting some initial users from Instagram and Reddit ads and organic growth with in-app sharing and social. They have an ICP of 18 to 35-year-olds struggling with social anxiety. And then they have their business model with a basic starter and premium tier for the game, a clear ask of $500K for pre-seed funding to find product market fit, and then that's the deck. So what do I like about this deck? It's nice and concise. It gets right to the point. There is a founder-led story, which I think is, especially important with AI today. You need to be able to understand the problem that you're solving with technology being so more easily accessible for anybody that wants to build new companies. So I think this is great. The screenshots of the product and just the general concept makes sense. And then I think that there's a lot of opportunities to kind of take things to the next level. So as I'm going through in 3 sections, we have this upfront narrative where we're positioning this very large problem on social anxiety. And then we come in with a solution that is a game to beat social anxiety. And so I think that there's a few burdens to meet on why gamification to solve social anxiety? How do we connect those dots? What is being done about social anxiety and how can we learn from what's being done? And they kind of address that in the competition slide. So I think, raising the bar a little bit on the problem to tie in or actually set Roadmap, our company, up to be the hero in the story would involve not just addressing that social anxiety is a big problem with a lot of people behind it, but that existing solutions to social anxiety are not meeting the needs of users or are leaving some white space in the market for an actual gamified approach to solving this problem. So that would be my recommendation on the upfront. I think a lot of problems in this deck can be solved by smartly bringing this competition slide up to the front of the deck, where we want to highlight that Calm and Headspace are players in the social anxiety space, but they lack personalization, and that therapy is a more personalized approach to social anxiety, but it's way too expensive for the great majority of people. And so by creating this paradigm and solving for both in a unique way, not only would create the white space needed for Roadmap to be the hero in the story with their gamified approach, but also just subtly highlights that we're looking to attack some of the software solutions that are pre-AI, maybe not AI native solutions, albeit have proven out that there's demand for people spending $10 a month on an app to help them with personal issues. So by bringing these villains into the fold, and they're not true villains, they essentially are proving the monetizable demand for your concept, but by bringing them in early, we craft a much nicer venture scale pitch than what I feel like could be kind of currently written off as, a nice to have game or more of a bootstrappable business. By saying that we're looking to create this post AI or AI native competitor to Calm and Headspace that have billion-dollar valuations, we immediately quickly signal that this is more of a venture scale opportunity in the post AI world, which is really needed when investors are seeing lots and lots and lots of products that are maybe so niche that they actually don't need venture capital or should not raise venture capital. So if we're seeking venture capital, bringing these villains into the fold solves a couple problems as it relates to the story. And then as I go through the rest of this deck, I think the things that come to mind are that we have this bottoms-up market opportunity, which is potentially not necessary. We have a good traction slide. We have this go-to-market slide, which feels a very general and kind of without a very unique approach. And we have this pricing slide, which I think is also kind of collecting dust. So I would look to kind of reconsider how we approach the go-to-market strategy and the business rigor for how looking at this company in the future, how we see this scaling really nicely, and understand a few things that, number one, in this post-AI world, market sizing in pitch decks is less important than just showing that we have the potential to actually generate customer demand at the earliest stages and let that fuel continued market expansion. A lot of investors are talking about AI unlocking new markets and new spend in ways that don't actually follow the rules of the traditional, we need to kind of create this big market and cut off a piece of pie from it. In the post-AI world, people understand that as long as you're attacking a big enough market, if this works out, the market for the solution will get bigger. And so having an early slide on market size, baked into some assumptions with a bottoms-up approach may just not be necessary. And then certain things like the pricing strategy pre-launch is maybe a good appendix slide, but likely not super critical to what's really important, which is how are we going to take our app and bring it to 1,000 users and then 10,000 users and then let our growth continue kind of flywheeling. So those are questions I think that are more important to be answered than a market size and a pricing slide. And then lastly, I think we have to think through, especially in the post-AI world, what are our edges? And I noted in my last video that I think edges, as people have talked about, this is not a unique insight, but edges on capital raised and technology are becoming less and less important when technology is able to be created in a much more efficient way. And so the edges really become, what about our product is going to be unique and hard to replicate? That's a hard one to answer for a lot of, kind of software products. But then baked into that, maybe you have a specific data set or some unique data that you can generate or continue to create and collate with different partners that's going to enable you to stay ahead of any other people that are looking to attack a similar problem. And then lastly, on distribution has been widely spoken about as one of the most important moats and one of the most important aspects to a venture scale pitch. And so raising the bar a lot on how we talk about go-to-market strategy, how we can play with the founder's background or various unique approaches to getting this into the hands of 1,000, then 10,000 users is going to create a much more compelling story if we are looking to raise capital from early stage VCs that need to see a power law outcome and need to see that you can outcompete at the earliest stages and stay afloat as you continue scaling. So those are my 3 recommendations. I think this deck's actually really good relative to some other things that we've seen. It's really simple, problem and opportunity. I think it's pretty well justified and just, looking for areas to just really enhance the narrative to show that they have unique edges that can't be replicated and can be exploited efficiently and productively to generate a true venture scale opportunity is going to kind of take this deck over the line. So with that, we'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Second Opinion. Like and subscribe and stay tuned for more pitch deck conversations. All right, peace.